Should be back now. Jesus Christ. That was the worst shit ever. Jesus, that fucking sucked. This one needs to be up here. Oh, we flopped the 2 for all our hard work, though, and trials and tribulations here. That's in the $11 3K. Beautiful, beautiful. Fair enough, fair enough. Check it to him. They snap check. 6. Ugh. Not the best thing in the world. We bet they fold. Fair enough, fair enough. Folds to us over here. We're definitely jamming on this dude's big blind. We're in the money. Oh, by the way, we're in the money. We made the money while our internet went out. The 553K. We fold. We're 84 of 110. Next place is getting $6.89. It's a 553K, so we want ladders. We want ladders. Still 20 viewers? Man, I appreciate everybody sticking with me through that. he only has 10 big blinds. Probably best to just fold that. We have sixes down here and a min raise from Donkey Punch 69. More importantly, we're getting all in up here with ace 10. Offsuit with 10 big blinds, 12 big blinds, 11 big blinds, I mean. We get called by ace king, we need a 10. We need a 9 or a 10. Oh my goodness. In cash. Ace king in the big blind. Way to go, sir. Way to go. 106 place for $6.89. Not bad. We'll take it. We'll take our money. Queens down here. Blind versus blind. You have a king. Ace 7 is not going to do it. That's in the 880 1500. Let's go. Oh, it dropped down to 8 viewers. Yee. Way to just kill your viewership with the internet going out. God. Epic fail. Oh shit, we got Alex optional at the table. We get it all in. We kind of want Gamora and Nikki to fold. Well, we actually definitely want them to fold. We're ready to get in with MacDog92. Doesn't have too many chips behind. How are they folding here? Nine. No. Still way above average, that's fine. I did the most rigged thing on Global earlier. Even though I think it was impossible and completely rigged, what'd you do? Shit just happens like easy peasy, so... It's not rigged. You just play a lot of poker. Eventually, you're going to see that combination of whatever happened come up eventually. You know what I mean? We call. What do you got, buddy? King or queen? King or queen? King or queen? King or fucking queen? Jesus. Alright, now we're down to right below average in that. He barely had any chips. He had like 10 bigs. God. We had already raised. It happens. No, not rigged. Not rigged. That's your equity getting realized on the one time for you. I think I'm fold the king queen off one time. We got a queen jack suited up here though. Yes, that shit happens, bro. Queen 2 of hearts. We get the fuck out of the way. Folding, folding, folding. Oh shit, you get 50,000 chips in this 880,000k freeze out. Okay. We have twos over here. The dude wanted to limp in. We had twos on the button. Jack, check, 9. No duck. Here's the 10 queen. Raise the king queen offsuit. Fold. One person behind us still to act. Oh my goodness. Nice hold. Wow. Raise the ducks down here. We're getting a lot of ducks tonight. One bluff it. What's up? Can you make the call? Can you make the call? I'll show you the ducks if you fold. I'll show you the ducks if you fold. Oh wow. Makes the call. And is good. Gets to see the ducks and is good. Is good. I'm disgraced. I'm disgraced. This king queen here. Break time, we'll be right back. kind of want to watch some YouTube stuff once I get knocked out of one of these. I really want to watch this YouTube video right now. You gotta go potty? You gotta go poop, don't you? You got a big, nasty poop from all the state. Happy birthday, Mom. Happy birthday. My dog was like, if you don't let me out right now, I'm about to fucking shit all over your office floor. That's what she was saying. And I was like, fuck, I don't want that. I really want to watch this thing on Mark Cuban. Well, shit's back from break, but it's nothing good. King, queen suited over here, or offsuit. King of clubs, queen of spades. On the button, we're in position. That is not a great flop for us. King 6 we're gonna fold. Zoom out here so you can see all the folds. Pie on acid. Set mines with the 7s up here. Eights. We have ace king down here. Oh Jesus, did I just let this person hit a diamond on me? I mean, we're getting it the rest of the way in there. Let's go, dude. Take it down, 13K, let's go. That's an 880, 1500 too. Huge, huge, huge. Should I squeeze with 7-2 in the big here? He's 10 seated in the big blind over here. Wow, we get called. Uh-oh. King 9, we're ahead. We hold. Thank you. Wow. This guy min raises and we call with 6-7 seated in the big blind. We flop a flush draw here. Fair enough, we give up. Now we can watch this.
Welcome to Fair Game. I'm Christine Leahy. My guest today went from a young entrepreneur selling garbage bags door to door to changing the world of tech. Shark Tank star and Mavericks owner Mark Cuban. You were also ahead of streaming radio, and now you
started it.
Yeah, and now you're doing you're just like a master of content. And I think it's really interesting to see the way that TV is going right now.
Yeah, it's changing.
When my parents are canceling their,
Dang.
yeah, they're cutting the cord. I think that says a lot.
Yeah.
Where do you see content?
Well, content's
going?
always, content, just great content is still great storytelling, great interviews, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just wants to find its way to people who want to consume it. And so the question becomes, how do you deliver it?
Right.
And so I think the NBA and the NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, all the major sports, MLS, were really screwing up by not saying that television is the best way to consume a sporting event, right? Because it's horrible, like if you're trying to watch a game via streaming and on Twitter, they're 4 minutes ahead of you, right? You can't be on Twitter and you can't interact. It's high latency. And so I think we're missing an opportunity, and I've said this to Adam, that we should be promoting that TV is the best way to watch a sporting event. So that's one
Okay.
thing, right? Second thing is we're going into a world of 5G. And so 5G is going to be a lot higher performance than what we're seeing now. And so, you talked about your parents cutting the cord.
Yeah.
You're going to see a lot of people cutting the broadband cord. So
The
not being dependent on
fucking
a wire
heck.
coming into their house or fiber to their house, they're just going to use 5G. That will open up a lot of new opportunities to deliver content.
So do you still think that the people should be watching TV? And that's
sports.
still where the future is, or just in sports?
For sports, it's the best. Anything that has that's live,
Yeah.
it's the best way to watch it by far, because you have the benefit of interacting. You can, on TV, your Instagram and your Twitter is timed right to what's going on TV. If you're streaming it, no matter who the streamer is, they're caching it so that it doesn't buffer, and that means you're going to be behind.
That makes sense. I mean, in all their programming, I think it's appointment viewing anyways.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right?
So then people will just have regular television to watch sports and then consume everything else
I don't know what's going to happen.
digitally.
So with 5G, that could change where there's lower latency. But in terms of what's next, the real question becomes, how are we going to connect to the devices that we want to watch content, whatever type of content it is, and what's going to deliver the content to us? And so that's where a lot of the changes are going to happen.
How do you stay relevant and competitive though with that? Because I love it. I love that there's a lot of choices, and I think there's really good content that's out there, but
Right.
people just aren't watching it because there's so much. Like, is it oversaturated?
It's not so much that it's oversaturated, it's just you've got to be great at marketing, which is why having all those players with big platforms makes all the difference.
But then at the same time, there's a lot of places that won't market their talent because they don't want them to get too big and demand too much money.
That's a mistake, because when you're in a universe where there's unlimited number of content choices, it's really hard to stand out. So if you go on YouTube, there's zillions of people watching YouTube all over the place, but
We're watching it right now.
There's only a few things that, other than music, that a lot of people will watch, right? So you couldn't name one hit that YouTube or Google has created. And as we get more over-the-top streaming platforms, not just Netflix, but AT&T, along with HBO as part of AT&T, Disney coming out, Apple coming out, you're going to have so many choices that I think sports content is going to be even more valuable, because there's built-in demand to NBA content. So when people are curious what's going to happen when all these streaming platforms get more market share, again, we still should push TV, but until then, I think we have a huge advantage because of our fan base, because of our players. People recognize them because of the e-gaming associated with it. But just as importantly, all those streaming companies want to retain subscribers. And I know I'm getting way into the weeds.
No, I
here.
love this.
So sports, particularly a long season sports like an 88, 82 game sport like the NBA, we help whoever we do deals with, they're going to be able to retain subscribers. So I like the Gemstones, right, on HBO, or the Righteous, whatever it's called. But that's 6 episodes, 8 episodes, whatever it is. Then I can churn out of HBO and go to Netflix. It's going to be harder for the HBO to keep me if they're not having more shows. That's why Netflix creates so much more content. If whoever over-the-top streaming does a deal with the NBA, that's an 82-game season plus playoffs. That's 9 months, 10 months, right? And so now all of a sudden, now Summer League, etc. And so now all of a sudden, if you're an NBA fan, you're going to keep your streaming subscription. And so sports will get even more valuable. Add to that gambling and gaming.
That's
and
big.
Yeah, and it gets even more valuable. So I think our rights value will go up for drama and other story-based content. It's harder to stand out, but there'll be more consumers, so hopefully there'll be enough.
So are we going to head to a place where it's the only sports media we see is the stuff that the players make themselves?
No, I mean, you're still going to have commentators, right? I mean, look at Twitch.
Well, aside from play-by-play analysts,
that could all change. That could all change. You've got multiple people who are just commenting while they're playing the game. My son loves Fortnite, Overwatch, but more Minecraft now.
Yeah.
He's kind of fallen off of Fortnite some, and he's got his 6 or 7 commentators who talk about the game. We're talking about changes in television. As bandwidth becomes more plentiful and compression becomes better, you'll see an NBA game where there might be 5 different types of announcers. You might have the 18-year-old screamer, you know, a Twitch type version.
Yeah.
You might have an augmented reality type version. You might have a VR version. You might have on traditional television, you know, like they did with the NCAAs, where they're
Yep.
home, away, you know, national, all these different. Why wouldn't you, right? Because all you care about is your aggregate audience. And so, and on top of that, you'll have commentators who always want to
Why am I
commentate.
giving it away
And
right
it's no
now?
different than talk radio was 15 years ago, right, or 10 years ago, where you ignore them, but there's always somebody screaming, you know. And so the platform has changed, but the nature of it hasn't changed.
Yeah. So we're heading towards a big change, though. Seems like.
Yeah, I think you'll look at us try to reach.
Network. The timer's on. All right, we're rolling. First of all, before we get started, I want to say thank you to Louis J. Gomez for hooking this up. Shout out to the Legion of Skanks. Without them, we would be nothing.
Yes.
We're here.
Absolutely.
What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man.
What's up, Joe Rogan?
My brother, what's happening?
Hey, I'm alive.
You're a lot. Look, man, I've been following this whole. Everybody's been following you.
Yeah, but first of all, thanks for being so nice. You're very supportive, Joe.
Damn, Artie looks
Happy
so
July.
different.
I'm happy to see you healthy.
Yeah,
happy.
thank you.
You look good. Your face looks good. You
Yeah.
look thin. You know, you look healthy. You look like you're vibrant. You
Yeah,
know?
no, I'm present. I talked to David
Yes.
Tell, and David Tell came to visit me in rehab, and he said, "You're present. You don't want to leave every 5 seconds," which is what
Yes.
cocaine does to you.
Right.
You know. So, no, I feel good. I feel good. I mean, I got 9 months clean.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
2 days ago was
What's
9 months.
what's the hump? Like, what do they say you have to get over before you can stay clean?
Well, first of all, my drug history is insane. It started when the first time I got high, and I tell these young kids because you know I'm 52 now, so
Me too.
I was in rehab and jail and a halfway house the last 8 months, and with some of the craziest motherfuckers you've ever met in your life, and they all have stories, but once they know my story, because I had some success in life, basically as a full-blown junkie, they're fascinated by it.
Right.
The first time I got high was 1979. Okay, Jimmy Carter was president.
Oh,
So when you tell a 22-year-old kid that, they're like blown away that I'm even alive, and I am too. I hit a home run in Little League. I'll never forget this. And my buddy's older brother used to call this kid Sick Jack. I don't know what happened to him, but he handed me a joint, and I took a puff of the weed, and from 11 years old, I knew I loved it so much. I just loved I loved the feeling of being out of control. You talk to a normal person, they go, I hate being out of control. I loved it. I loved, like, wow. And you have an excuse for it. I was fucked up. You know?
Yeah, that's the thing. Right?
Yeah,
It's an
and
excuse for being wild.
an excuse for just being a screw up too.
Yeah.
You know. And my old man was a lunatic. He was not a drug addict or an alcoholic, but he was a criminal. You know, he was a low-level criminal. He came to the streets of Newark and got to like the 10th grade in high school. And he was like my favorite human being of all time. He was like my older brother, but I saw him do a lot of bad shit. You know, I saw him fight all the time. He was a boxer when he was young, and just the real street smart guy. And his life was chaos, and I loved the chaos. I was addicted to risk. That's why I'm a gambler too. So when cocaine came into my life a few years later, I was 16 the first time I did a line of blow, and that was really fun because now you're up all the time, and that started basically a 35-year drug run that didn't end until like 9 months ago. I mean, I don't know if it's ended. You know, that's the thing. I don't put pressure on myself. I'm like, it's one day at a time stuff. It sounds so cliche, But I take it 1 minute at a time. I can't guarantee people I'm never going to get high again. I just know I'm not going to get high in the next 10 minutes, and
You
that
don't
turns into
want to
days.
get high again. Is there a risk of saying that you don't know if you're ever going to get high again? Like,
The direct opposite is true. That's what they tell you in a program like Narcotics Anonymous. And again, I'm not some big program guy, and I didn't turn into some god guy, anything like that. But I'm a little more spiritual, I would say. And it's all stuff. You used to tell me the last time I was on the show. You were telling me to try to live right, exercise, anything to get you through the day that's positive. In other words, by saying you'll never get high again, and I used to do that all the time. When you're really bullshitting yourself and everybody else, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. Like to say, even these young kids, these poor kids, man, are looking at a lot of jail time, prison time. They're living under a fucking bridge, some of these kids, and they got nothing. That's why, the careers that me and you have, and congratulations on your everything you've done, Joe, man. You're a solid guy, a great talent. But, the careers we have are such blessings. I mean, we're living out a dream, and these kids have nothing. And for a 23-year-old kid to say in a group therapy session anywhere, I'm never going to get high again, it's daunting. To say you're never going to do anything again. And even for me at 52 years old, I love it. You got to say, I love being high. I love the chaos. I love the lifestyle. You get addicted to the lifestyle too, because you don't live like everybody else, And I had a means of making money legally, and these kids had to rob to get all the shit, and so that was enabling too. We live in an enabling world, but to say you're never going to get high again is so much pressure. To say I don't know, and just work on the next day, and for me it's like I take it minute by minute, literally. I got high, like we're here on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. I got high everywhere here. Back in the 80s, I used to come here with my buddy's older brother and get mescaline hits.
Jesus.
Back in the day, weed in Washington Square Park. Blow. There's triggers all over the place. So I just say, if I can get this get one more block without fucking up, that turns into a day and then time, So it's harder to say for yourself, I'll never get high.
What was the longest you went before this 9-month stretch?
It feels like the last time I had 9 months clean, I was 9 months old. No, okay. In the late 90s, I came out of LA County Jail. Well, again, the first time I got arrested for attempted bank robbery when I was 17 years old.
Jesus.
I wrote a bank teller a joke note that said I have a gun, and I went to jail and I got on probation.
What the fuck,
I asked this
Artie?
teller for $50,000.
Whoa.
And she started to give me the money, and she hit the silent alarm. I was with my girlfriend at the time. I was 17, she was 18. So a SWAT team showed up to our house. We just left, and
So you had the money.
I didn't take the money. She started to give me the money, but again, this is my fucked up personality flaw. I was like, wow, I'm gonna get 50 G's, and she started to give it to me. But then something said, I can't do this. I took the note I gave her and I crumpled it up. I said, I'm just kidding, and I threw it in a garbage can. I get in my girlfriend's car, and she drives away. She goes, what happened there? I didn't even tell her. I go, no, it's bullshit. They had her name because she had an account. She's an adult.
Oh, Jesus.
And a SWAT team shows up at her house. So we both get arrested. We're handcuffed, and I go to jail. I say, and her old man, I think, was connected. He was like a mob guy. And he sat me down, and he goes, when you rob a bank, you no take my daughter. He didn't have a problem with me robbing a bank. He had a problem that I took his daughter. He goes, you don't take women when you rob a bank. And I go, no, I wasn't trying to rob a bank. He goes, no. He goes, I know you. You're a craze. You're crazy. And he was right. But again, I just love the action.
Yeah.
That's why I love gambling. So I go out
Jesus,
to LA.
Artie.
TV. Now I'm making $10,000 a week, and I got a bad cocaine problem. And I started gambling. The first Tyson Holyfield fight, I lost $25,000. I thought Tyson was going to fucking kill me. And Quincy Jones, who produced Mad TV, got us ringside seats at the fight. And I lose $25,000 on the fight, another $8,000 at the tables. I get blow. I take it on a plane back to LA at 1 o'clock in the morning. I take a swing at a cop, and I go to LA County Jail for trying to assault a cop.
Jesus.
And he found an 8-ball. So I had an 8-ball of coke on me. I take a swing at a cop, and that's my last day at Mad TV.
Oh, Jesus.
What
year was this?
This is 1996. Right after we did that sketch at Mad TV.
Yeah,
together,
which is like 95, I think.
that was 96.
It was 96.
It was the second
Yeah.
season, which is funny to watch because it's so fucking long ago.
We're kids.
About a month after that, we taped that sketch. I got arrested.
Wow.
So I go to LA County. I come out of LA County. I'm on probation, and I got to take urine tests and everything. So I got clean. So to answer your question, I had almost a year clean at that point, and then after that, it was off to the races again. So 9 months is the second longest I've had clean since I'm 11 years old.
Now, what are you doing for thrills? Like, do you have to replace
The Joe Rogan podcast.
Do you have to do something to replace the feeling
okay.
That's a great question.
Because you're not gambling, right?
That's
I
an
would
excellent
assume.
question. No, I can't do anything
Right.
because it escalates.
Right, that's what
All
I'm
right, it escalates. If I put a $5 bet on a roulette table right now, by tomorrow morning I'd be running guns to Cuba. I'd have a human trafficking ring. Everything, the badness just gets worse and worse because I can't have a beer, you know.
Right.
And that's hard to admit to yourself too. You know, I mean, I can't have one beer, and it took me a long time to grab that concept. Some people can't. So
have you had moments where you could have one beer in your life? Like, have you ever gone
when I
grab
was
a slice
younger,
of pizza? Have
This
a couple
dude was
beers, and that's
super
it?
crazy.
yeah, watching a game. But the problem is
Robbing
I lived
banks and
twice.
shit.
I told you when I was a longshoreman.
Like, fuck.
For a couple of years, I was the orange juice player. This happened twice. I had a bookie I used to gamble. So drinking and coke and gambling does not mix well. That's why they give you free drinks at the casino because you're messed up. So for Monday Night Football, the bookie took bets up till 8 o'clock. Kickoff was 9 o'clock. So at 5:30, right after I got out of work, I would call the book and I would say, "Give me $1,000 on the Giants play the Cowboys. Give me $1,000 on the Giants." Then I start drinking. 7:30 comes around. I forget I made the bet. 2 separate times I bet on the other team at 7:30. At 7:30, I called the book and I said, "Give me the Cowboys." So all I could do was lose the vig.
Oh,
All I could do was
Jesus
lose.
Christ.
So this happened twice. So the bookies tape all your calls and they destroy the tape at the end because the cops get it. But what they do is they have the calls on tape in case you have a dispute. Like,
Right.
I'd have bet that. He goes, "No, I got you on tape doing it." So I said to the bookie, "Why did you let me do that?" He goes, "Because you got to learn a life lesson." I go, "Thanks, Mr. Bookie,
Jesus.
for giving me a life lesson. You know, I'm trying to win money." And he goes, "I got to tape you at 5:30, making a bet." So at 5:30, I'm like all articulate. I go, "Yeah, give me the Giants laying 7 over the Cowboys. Give me the under over 41. Give me a dime, which is $1,000." He goes, "Here's you at 7:30. Give me the fucking Cowboys!" Ah! I want the Cowboys in the under, parlay it. And you hear him trying to go, "You just bet the Giants." "Fuck you, no I didn't." And I put some chick on the phone. "Give him the
What?
Cowboys, I'm a Cowboy." I met some girl who was a Cowboy fan.
Artie Lang. This is Artie Lang. He was on Mad TV.
So he's
he was on
trying to
like.
give me life coaching tips.
Oh my God.
So
Didn't he do,
what happens is if I would go
Howard
have the
Stern
one
for a
beer
little
on
bit?
Tuesday night in February at a sports bar, then I realized Virginia Tech is playing in a college basketball game. I bet Virginia Tech, then I have 2 beers, then I got Coke, then it's over. So your question is a great question. What do I do for thrills?
What are you replacing it with?
That's where this business, which has taken me back now, I think 11 times. This is my 11th comeback. I have fans that I got that, you know, through Mad TV and the Stern Show, of course, that are so loyal. Stand up. This business.
Yes.
Doing what we're doing right now. Talking
Yeah.
to another funny guy who I love, bullshitting, making money, doing comedy. I have a gig tonight in Poughkeepsie. I'm going to
Nice.
Poughkeepsie, you know, and I'm going to get on stage and talk to people for an hour and make a lot of money doing it.
Are you doing bananas?
No, I'm doing a place called Laugh It Up. Laugh It Up in Poughkeepsie. Yeah, I did the bananas thing a bunch of times. So you know, that's
He's
what I'm
had such a
working on.
crazy life. He can go
Because
around
women-
and talk
I've
about
lost
his life
three-
and
I
make
say this
good
all the
money.
time. I lost 3 fiancées because of heroin. Heroin saved me a lot of money. I dodged 3 torpedoes with that. The heroin was way less expensive than a divorce. So, you know, right now I cling to my work. Comedy's the only thing that hasn't abandoned me.
Yes.
You know, in a lot of ways. And you know, there's
Damn, I
businesses-
wonder if he like killed
You know,
any
you
of
keep
those
taking
women.
it
That was a really
A lot of people
creepy
are addicts.
comment.
They get really addicted like marathon.
Like, do you ever let them
Really
overdose?
funny.
Jesus, what the fuck kind of a comment
okay,
was that?
okay.
Cheaper than a
Crazy
divorce?
idea, but if you could think you could run a block,
Let me-
then you run 2.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you run a mile.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you go, I'm gonna do a 5K.
Well, I do a bit about this in my stand-up act. The first time I tried to get off heroin, this trainer who I hired, this kid, he
Heroin?
said, you know,
This dude did
I
every
guarantee
drug
you a
there
heroin
is.
high is not as good as a running high. And I said to him, "Have you ever
These are
tried heroin?"
ridiculous.
And
That's a ridiculous thing to say.
he goes, "No." I go, "Well, then you're not qualified to be in this fucking conversation." Because I've done heroin, and on occasion I've run, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
You know,
So the only way you get a running high, you got to be in really good shape.
and you also got to run
do
more
it
than
a
20
lot.
feet.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to run a lot.
Yeah, I mean, do you run? Is that what you?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I would
That's one of
love
the
to
things.
get that kind of thing in my life.
Yeah.
Again, I'm way healthier than I ever was in a long time.
Where are you living?
I live in Hoboken, New Jersey.
Yeah, there's got to be a place near there.
Yeah,
where
no,
you can run.
there's nothing.
He
That's the
lives
thing
in
about nowadays.
Hoboken.
Young comics, like, forget about the drug culture. If a 25-year-old comedian has some gluten, he starts to freak out. Like they go to Alcoholics Anonymous, they have gluten by mistake. So there's nothing but healthy shit going on. In Hoboken, it's nothing but young people jogging, Pilates, yoga. You know,
Get in it. Huh?
I'd love to. I mean, you know,
It's something to get addicted to.
Yes.
You can get addicted. I'm for sure addicted to exercise.
I know
It
that.
can- it
I've
can
known that
help
about
you.
you for a long time.
But it can help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that getting something like that in my life would be the ultimate turnaround.
Yes.
Yeah, because I love sports. I'm a good athlete. I was an
Yeah.
all-state baseball player, and I could shoot hoops. I was playing a lot of basketball in jail.
Were you?
Yeah, I was running full courts, man. I got an outside shot like crazy. But I'm the kind of guy, I have hand-eye coordination. I can gain weight playing basketball. I don't even move. I just shoot the ball.
Right.
The running thing is something I got to release endorphins.
Yes.
What you just said, see, that's a very insightful question because the whole thing is substituting the high
Yeah.
with
yeah.
something else.
Finding something else you're obsessed with.
Yeah.
My life, I've always been obsessed with things, but luckily, none of them have been bad.
Right.
You know, it's just
Right.
been, but it's the same personality. The same personality that could have led me to be a junkie, led
Yeah.
me to just get obsessed with martial arts or
Yeah, yeah.
comedy or.
I wish I
playing
got
pool.
addicted to martial arts,
Yeah.
not heroin.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with video games,
Yeah.
pool, like anything that's like that I could get better at. I get
Well,
obsessed with.
You know, it's funny.
Same
everything in
here.
my life went back to
Poker,
college. You know, I love shooting pool, too.
streaming.
I used
Yeah,
to-
you're
I-
good, man.
Yeah.
We
I-
played when we were at my school.
Cannabis.
Yeah, I found though when I did cocaine, I was better at pool because I
I'm
focused
sure,
more.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, you
God, a
fo-
lot of guys take amphetamines.
yeah, and you have this hand-eye coordination gets better, so you're playing 9-ball or something. I actually I have a movie script I'm trying to write called Booger Sugar 9-ball, where a guy gets way better. He becomes the best 9-ball player on cocaine, so he has to keep getting money playing pool to score
Well, the
more
best
cocaine.
guys from back in the day, they were all taking amphetamines, like Buddy Hall and all these like
Yeah.
world champions.
Yeah, they were all drug addicts.
They were
but
playing days and days at a time.
yeah, well, the movie The Hustler with
Yes,
Gleason,
yeah.
they play for, and that's
that
just
was
booze.
That was just booze. But these guys really did do that. I mean,
Yeah.
these guys played for. They got on pills and they played for days.
The key is what you said, obsession.
Yes.
Obsession. I get obsessed over a woman I'm dating.
That's
Yeah.
insanity.
I get obsessed
Yeah.
over, anything I like.
Yeah.
I don't want to stop.
Yeah.
I want to keep rewarding myself. The situation, you're a very successful guy. So is someone going to be able to tell you, I was making all this money, and I'm taking care of people around me, supporting people around me, and so who's going to tell me to stop?
Right.
You know,
That is always a problem.
that's a problem.
The
Like,
yes man people. It's a real problem.
yeah, like I make millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Right.
Something's going
Right.
right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop.
Right.
Then what happened is I got legal consequences like I've never had before. You
So
know?
your situation now, like, you can't. If you test positive at all for anything, you're fucked.
I could go to jail.
Like even if like I smoked a joint in this room with you.
if it came up, I mean that's everybody. Again, I'm on this thing called drug court. which is like probation on steroids. It's kind of new. It's only 20 years old. The premise of it is there's
It's
not a lot of
kinda
guys
new.
with my charges. Right now, I have a third-degree possession charge right now, and because the charge in L.A. is so long ago, that was expunged off my record. So technically, I got a first-time offense, third degree. Not a lot of guys with that little of a charge get drug court. Drug court is for people who can't stop robbing people, because in other words, they were putting everybody in jail for robbing stuff, and they linked that behavior back to drug use. They were stealing to support the drug addict. So they get all these robberies on their jacket, and they go, okay, to try to help you, instead of giving you prison, we're going to give you this thing called drug court. But you got to report, like I gave 5 urines this week.
Yeah.
You know? So
Damn.
if I got high, first of all, my situation, because I'm well known. The second, I give clean urine, and then 1:30, it's all over.
Yeah.
The news.
Now, why did they give you such a harsh sentence if it's just possession?
I don't really know.
Are they trying to make an example?
I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Because every time when I got the first charge was just regular probation, and I got no new charges or anything. It was all these technical violations because I kept pissing dirty. And eventually, after I failed that, they gave me drug court. But again, I got no problem with the people in the legal system.
But what is your feeling on what works? How do you get someone? For you, is it being scared? Is it
that's part
crashing?
Of it. But you got to want to do it.
Right. And you want to do it right now. But was it because they had threatened you with so much? Is there? What I'm trying to get at is there like a method to this that makes any sense?
There's supposed to be, but okay. The premise, I think, the best thing about jail for a drug addict is it actually locks you away from the drugs for a little while. Because you see, now cocaine made my life chaos for a long time, but when heroin came into the game, forget it, lights out. Heroin is. If I saw some kid thinking about trying heroin for the first time, I would tackle them. I would do anything to get them to stop, because the only way to stop this opioid crisis is prevention. Doctors became pushers with oxys and stuff like that. Drug companies, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
On the legal and illegal side. So once heroin gets in your system, you need it every 8 hours. You need it every 8 hours like it's oxygen. So you become desperate. Withdrawals are insane. So
is it insane? What is it like?
It's insanity. Well, okay. When I became, again, my story on the Howard Stern show, the big headline at the end of why I left that show was, and I speak sometimes at NA meetings, and I try to get this through young people's heads. I was basically a full-blown junkie on the biggest radio show of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the headline. That's what, so not
Wow.
on the air. But I also had a full-time stand-up comedy schedule. So my life became the kind of chaos that not many human beings have ever seen. So I would have gigs in Pittsburgh, Phoenix, and Detroit 3 weeks in a row. Then I got to get back at 6 a.m. to be on Stern. Now, by the end, I was so paranoid to bring drugs on a plane, but I needed the heroin to get on stage, because the sickness. Picture the flu times 10. That's what withdrawals are. And there's aches, all the emotional pain you're masking comes back. So withdrawals are a living hell. So when you see the withdrawals coming, you see the heroin getting out of your system, you're like, okay, it's going to get really bad. Then you realize most people can't leave their room. Then you realize you got to do 5 radio shows a week, and then you got to fly to Detroit and do stand-up on Saturday. So when I landed in Detroit, I wouldn't have heroin. So my life became a dance of I would land in every city, and I would say, I would get in a cab, and I'd say to the cab driver, I need heroin. I got to score. Otherwise, I can't do this show. Sometimes a guy would recognize me and want tickets to the show. I would go to the worst part of Detroit, okay, or the worst part of anywhere, any city, and try to find heroin, because in an hour I got to be on stage, and in 20 minutes I'm going to be deathly sick. When I say sick, like shit in my pants, throwing up.
So this is you're getting there, no connections.
No connections. Now I started.
Did you ever not score?
Yeah, I used to call them. Dope sick sets, because withdrawals, they call it dope sickness. And one time I was on stage in Orlando, Florida. I had to do an hour. Half an hour into my set, I realized I'm going to shit my pants in front of 2,000 people. So I said, okay, in my head, and like, you know, with your act, sometimes you got jokes you could do like a robot. So I'm just going through the motions. And, you say this, it'll get a laugh. You say this, it'll get a laugh.
Right.
I realized I'm going to shit my pants, okay, in front of 2,000 people. So I said, there's two choices. I can either say, guys, I got to go to the bathroom, listen to some music, and go shit, or shit my pants in front of 2,000 people.
Did you shit your pants?
No. I said, play a song, and I ran it back.
Did you tell them you were going to shit your pants?
I came back and I said I was going to shit my pants. So, okay, these are Stern fans. They go, it would have been funnier if you shit your pants.
Of course. Oh.
So now I got Stern fans who know I was about to shit my pants. The last half hour of the show was like them yelling, shit your pants.
Yeah, they're a particularly ruthless bunch. I remember I saw you at the Luxor in Vegas.
Yeah.
It was one of the first times I ever saw you in front of a Stern fan.
Right.
Like the Stern fan group.
Right.
They're ruthless.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They and then they say that they love you, but then they're
Yeah.
screaming shit out. And, you know, and Vegas is another. Again, so that became my life. The chaos was insane.
Do you think it was encouraged too? Like, did people did they enjoy the fact that you were off the rails?
Some people did.
Yeah.
Some people did.
And because of that, do you think that, like, you identified with that? Like, this is who I am, this is what I do?
That's a great question. Absolutely. Part of me said, maybe this is my thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And that's
I'm the heroin addict.
because that's also you saying it's a reason to continue.
Yes.
You know? I could keep fucking up because this is how I make money.
Yes.
And this is my...
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. The most money I ever did making stand-up, most money I made, it was actually at Mandalay Bay, Super Bowl Eve 2007. This is an example of my life. In one night, I made 140 grand doing stand-up.
What?
Okay. I got 70 grand for 2 shows. I did 2 shows. I'm on the plane flying back from Vegas. I'm doing the math between the gambling, the drugs, and the hookers. I lost 145,000. Okay, so when I got home, my accountant thought I was going to give him a check for 140 grand. I said I need 5 G's.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I made $140,000 in a night, one night. My father climbed roofs for a living. Okay, he never made that in 30 years. And then I'm going back to co-host the biggest radio show ever, and I lost 100. But I had a $10,000 hooker who looked like a young Carmen Electra, and I lost money playing craps. I lost on the game, and the drugs.
Jesus.
I was down 145,000. So after I paid out my commission to the agents, the weekend cost me like 40 grand.
Have you put this in a book?
Yeah, I don't know if that story's in a book. I wrote another book in jail too. I wrote a 4th book.
Good.
It's called Ripping and Running, and I'm trying to get a deal. I'm trying to get a deal for
Who
it
the
right
fuck wouldn't give you a deal for that?
Thanks, White Smoke. I
Christ.
now.
appreciate
That's just
it.
one fucking story.
I'm
man.
sure. Yeah.
Of man.
The thing about those stories is they're so great. Like, it's such a catch-22, right? It's like the stories are so amazing, and people love you for those stories, but they also want you to be clean.
Well, here's the thing. So that's the catch-22, you know. And then I'm saying to myself, so again, the answer to your original question is if I were to be honest with you right now, the thing that got me, the method I'm using now are consequences. If I didn't have jail hanging over my head, I don't know what would happen today. But I think I'm far enough out of getting hot. Like the drugs are finally out of my fucking system. There's other drugs they give you that are basically legal dope. There's this thing called Suboxone, which is an opiate blocker, but it's dope.
What does it do to you?
It stops you from getting high on heroin, but it stops the withdrawals too. So you also get high. You know, it's an opioid.
Yeah.
But it's legal. And so if you're on what they call Suboxone maintenance, you can pee with that in your urine, and you'll be all right if they know you're on it.
But you're getting high.
Through a doctor. You're getting high. It's like methadone.
Right.
Methadone.
We used to have these guys that would come to the pool hall, and we'd call them methadonians.
Yeah.
They would go down the street, they'd get their methadone, they'd come to the pool hall, and they'd just be zombies.
Okay, another story about methadone. For a little while, I took methadone.
The
I was
Methadonians.
desperately trying to get off heroin. But look, again, the only difference
Jesus.
between methadone and heroin is legality. Like one's, the courts are cool with one for some reason, and the other one's illegal. I mean, if you have no legal issues, why not just keep doing heroin? It makes no fucking
It's
sense.
probably
'Cause like you
better
said,
for you.
heroin is the one drug that doesn't affect any organ. Like the way people die on heroin is you overdose. But like look at Keith Richards. I mean, he just got good shit. He got pure shit.
Yeah.
And he never OD'd and died. So like he's almost preserved. It kind of doesn't affect your liver. Nothing like that.
Really? So there's no real health consequences other than overdose.
Other than ODing and the withdrawals, because it becomes a part of your body. It's again, I'm not recommending it. It's a living hell. It's a living hell. The lifestyle and the people that get into your life because of it. But
What just happened there?
a couple of times I went to a methadone clinic that opened at 6 a.m. because the guy was a fan of Stern. He would let me come into the methadone clinic at 5:30 and get. I took a shot. They give it to you in orange juice. Okay, you take a shot of orange juice with the methadone. Twice I threw up on the air, and one time, again, I was never funnier off the shit than this. Howard was talking, I think it was Roseanne Barr, and Howard said, "Hey, you look thin." She was on the phone, and I'm nauseous. Like, okay, so listen to this timing. I'm nauseous from the methadone. I feel like I'm going to throw up, and I got a live mic, you know.
Right.
And she goes, "Yeah, Howard, I've been exercising." And he goes, "What have you been doing?" She goes, "Well, I get in a two-piece bathing suit now." As soon as she said that, you hear me go.
My God.
As soon as, and Howard thought I was doing it to be funny. He goes, "Shit, what are you doing?" I go, As soon as she said, "I get in a toothpiece," timing. Yeah. My comedic timing was better on methadone. So now I'm doing that for a while, but at that point I had no legal issues. What the fuck am I even trying this for?
Right.
You know, and Suboxone helped save me. It helped me get off it, but eventually you got to get off that too. And you kick.
How hard is that? Is it hard to get off it?
Okay, there's something called fentanyl out there.
Yes.
Okay, which is elephant tranquilizer. It's synthetic. It's like spice, like synthetic weed. Okay, all these kids in jail, by the way, these young kids, they smoke this K2 shit. They stop while they're talking to you. Like a kid will be talking to you in jail, like that jail jumpsuit, and he'll just be like, he stops. It looks like he got hit with volcanic ash or something, because they spray these chemicals on the weed, and it does something to them. They start dancing like Julie Andrews. All these Bloods and Crips are dancing to the sound of music.
What?
The hills are alive. And, it's weird. So fentanyl is like the heroin version of it. It's synthetic heroin.
Yeah. Much stronger.
People are dying from touching it. Like they touch it, it gets in the
Cops
system.
are dying, or cops are getting overdosed from
These guys
handling
sees it at the
people
border.
that are sweating.
Right. It comes from China. There's all these conspiracy theories about China trying to kill us. And who knows, man, it's weeding out a lot of junkies. I was in a rehab, which I got to give a shout out to. This place, Turning Point in Patterson, is where I really got clean. I was there for 3 months. I did a month in jail, and then I did 3 months at Turning Point. Great place. They really helped me out a lot. My counselor, Sarah, shout out to her. But she, I got clean there. But it was in Patterson in the hood. And the gangs would fight each other to get the corner right across from the rehab.
Oh, Jesus.
Because
people would come out.
Yeah, people come out and they get high. 2 kids I was in there with, went and got high. They died that day. They just leave and they died that day.
From fentanyl.
These are junkies. Yeah. If you get a certain amount of time clean, your willpower, your resistance goes down. Mm. And
so they would take what they used to take,
and then boom, they were out there. So to get off the Suboxone is very difficult because you got to kick it. Withdrawals take average 4 to 5 days, and I've done that in jail twice. So if you have fentanyl in your system and you take a Suboxone, you go into what they call pre-sip withdrawals, which are like the regular withdrawals times 1,000,000. Like you feel like you're gonna die. You start to hallucinate. This happened to me twice. I went to jail. Not knowing they put it in everything. They put it in the cocaine. They put it in the marijuana because they want people to catch a habit. And if a couple people die, because if you got a habit, now you got to keep going back. So you're buying what you think is blow. It's not. It's blow with this fentanyl in it. Heroin's brown when you get it. It's brown when you get it. Fentanyl is white. So if it's really a lighter color, it's got fentanyl in it. But people want to get high so bad, they take the risk. If you're a junkie, you'll take that risk. So I did not know I had fentanyl in my system. It was in the cocaine I had. So I get to jail, and And I see this kid
What?
and he was a dealer I knew from the street, and he owed me a favor. And these kids smuggle drugs in the band of their sweatpants. They have it right here. And if you see a kid going like this all the time, the kid's walking over to him, you know he's got something. So I went over to the kid and I said, "What do you got?" And he goes, "I just got subs, Suboxone." I said, "Give me one," because I couldn't deal with the anxiety. And he gave it to me. I didn't know I had fentanyl in my system. I took a Suboxone with it, and in 10 minutes, I was writhing on the floor. So they threw me in a cell, and I had a kick. I had a kick with those kind of withdrawals on a jail cell.
How long does it last?
5 days. 5 days. Now the COs, when I was kicking at Essex County Jail, the COs there are, I love them. They're great guys.
What's
They're
up
tough
with the
motherfuckers.
aces?
They got a tough job, and they were very supportive of me, and they protected me in there. They were good guys. So they were giving me food. They would try to keep me hydrated and shit. There was a doctor there that was really cool, but I was naked because you're also on a suicide watch. If people kick from heroin, again, all this emotional pain comes back on you. And a lot of people commit suicide. So they give you what they call this turtle shell. You're naked and you go in this turtle thing. It's like a Velcro thing. So I kicked for 5 days in that thing, just rolling around the floor.
Jesus
I started to
Christ.
hallucinate. My old man's been dead for 30 years. I could have swore he was talking to me right in front of me. Yeah.
What?
It's just, and then knowing that, then I get it out of my system. I get out of jail and I get high an hour later. You know, so you know, if you keep doing that, there's something wrong.
So what happened this time that changed?
They kept me away for longer than I ever was. I was doing like 2-week bid, a week bid in jail. This time I was in jail for almost 2 months, and I kicked. Then I went to a long-term rehab, and I got locked away from it. And I started to think clearer, and think about the consequences, and think about my mom, and the fact that my mother is this great Italian woman who, you know, I thought she just needed money from me. I took care. My old man on his deathbed said, "Take care of your mother." And as an Italian guy from North Jersey, you think that means money. Doesn't mean anything else. So I kept giving her money, not knowing she was worried about me dying, you know, all the time. So I thought about her pain, and I said, I can't do this anymore. So I just started to think clear, and then one day at a time. So
Wow.
that's the difference. The difference was I
Damn.
was locked away from the dope longer than I ever was. So not only did the physical withdrawals go away, but the mental withdrawals. Charlie Parker, the great jazz musician, who was a heroin addict, died when he was 35. He said they can get it out of your body, but they can never get it out of your brain.
Charlie Parker died.
Jesus.
Charlie Parker was 35.
Jesus Christ.
The coroner said he was 66. Yeah, but he had the most profound thing I ever heard someone say about heroin. He said they can get it out of your brain, but they can get it out of your body, but they can't get it out of your brain.
Because you remember.
Yeah, you know,
Remember the.
it's a way to deal with shit.
And it's a maternal thing, right? It's like almost like being in the womb.
Absolutely.
You're protected. And warm. I've
Absolutely.
never done it, but when I had knee surgery, they gave me a morphine drip. And they gave me a button.
Yeah, that's
anytime
it.
I was in the hospital, I could hit it anytime I want. I just hammered that thing.
Yeah, of course.
And you just glide off to the most beautiful, wonderful feeling.
Well, that's the thing about drugs; they work. You know, it's instant. It's instant.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want. And again, that's something else in our business. Like, you know, I don't want to wait for anything. I want the money now.
Right,
I want to come now. I want to
Yeah.
fucking get high now.
Yeah.
I want to gamble now.
That's the part of what makes you a great comic, though. That impulsive wildness is what people enjoy in
Right.
comics.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
all my favorite comics, Kinnison, Joey Diaz,
Yeah.
all of them struggled.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of them.
Yeah, it's you know.
Pryor.
Look at Richard Pryor. Yeah.
Lenny Bruce,
Lenny Bruce.
Yeah.
these-
Hicks. all of them.
Yeah.
All of them
Mi-
had
Mitch,
drug
Mi-
problems.
Mitch Hedberg.
Sure.
Yeah.
Robin Williams. Everybody. Everybody had drug problems.
I'll give you Greg Giraldo. I'll give you a great Greg Giraldo story. Right.
Geraldo?
This to me sums up a comedian who's also a drug addict. Right? 2006, William Shatner roast, Comedy Central. Right? Giraldo was just hitting with the roast. He was getting to be a big deal. But I had partied with him a couple of times, and you know we both had the same problem. So we were the only two guys coming from New York City to do the Shatner roast. This was 06 for Comedy Central. So I'm at the JFK first class lounge, waiting for my plane. And I know Greg is supposed to be on the plane. He shows up 5 minutes before the plane takes off, and he goes, Artie, man, he like hugs me, sweating. He goes, I'm tweaking, like he was on taking amphetamines. So I go, he goes, I'm not getting on the plane.
What?
I go, dude, you're like the best guy at these roasts now. You have to get on the plane. This is your career. And he goes, I can't get on the plane. I go, you have to get on the fucking plane. So I had all this Vicodin I smuggled under my sock. I said, take a couple of Vicodin and have a beer. So I got him a beer, and he started to calm down a bit. I literally held his hand, okay? I held his hand and got him on the plane. I changed my
Greg
seat.
Giraldo?
He was too paranoid to go to the fucking bathroom. So I would guard the bathroom so no one could come in. And we get to LA. Now we got to go to a dress rehearsal at CBS Radford. Farrah Fawcett was on that roast. So now he's still freaking out, paranoid. And he goes, I'm going to hug Farrah Fawcett. I go, you can't go near Farrah Fawcett. I go, not only is your career going to be over, he goes, I'm going to hug Farrah. I have to kiss her. I go, she was 2 feet from us. I go, you can't kiss Farrah Fawcett. I go, Greg, you can't kiss Farrah. Like, I go, you're going to get arrested. I go, now your career's going to be over and you're going to be arrested for sexually assaulting Farrah Fawcett on amphetamines. So I go, you just got to calm the fuck down. We get through the dress rehearsal, and he goes, please don't tell anybody. And now I've been there, so I know what he's. So I go, I won't. So we go back to the hotel. I leave my room. I sit by him like Florence fucking Nightingale. I'm giving him like hot compresses and shit. The next morning, the car's coming to get us to take us to the show at noon. And he comes out of it. He comes out of the bathroom. He goes, I think I came down. He hugs me. He's crying. He goes, thank you so much. I go, dude, you would have done the same thing for me. Okay, so now we go to the roast. He's the first roaster. First thing he says, he goes, Artie Lang's here. How about a hand for Artie Lang? And everybody applauds. He looks at me and goes, look at you, Artie, you fat fucking drug addict. That's the first thing he said. That's the first thing he said. And I went like this. I went, bro, like this. And he went like this. That look, that's a comedian.
Yes.
That looks a comedian.
What
Like,
are you gonna do? It's there. You gotta take it.
I just saved his fucking life.
Oh, I'm crying.
I practically made out with him. I stopped him from sexually assaulting one of the Charlie's Angels.
The one.
Yeah, the one. Farrah Fawcett. He goes, I'm going to kiss Farrah Fawcett. I go, you can't kiss Farrah Fawcett. I've never said that to another human being before or since.
Very few people probably ever have.
I said that to Lee Majors.
Oh,
I said, so and the first thing he says is, you fat fucking drug addict. He had to throw fat in there, too. And then he gives me
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Again, this is something, things you wish you had on tape.
Jesus.
About 1998, me and Mitch Hedberg and Greg Giraldo both did sets. All three of us did sets at the Comedy Center. And there was an old diner on 9th and 23rd called Chelsea Square Diner. I don't know if it's still there. The three of us, was me, Greg, and Mitch. And if you ask me why God spared me out of that three, I have no idea. It's just sheer luck. But God spared me for some reason. I don't know why. And I remember the three of us were talking about drugs. And Hedberg, he told this to a couple of people. And I didn't know Mitch as well. I did a couple of gigs with him. But, he said, a lot of people are trying to get me to stop. I'm never going to stop. He said, just don't waste your time. I'm never going to stop doing it. I love it that much. And, at the time, I didn't realize how dark that was. And he died, he's been dead almost 15 years now. You talk about a real genius, like he just was like, I know I can never stop. Like that's how much it takes over to the point where, you might die. He goes, I don't care. I want to do it this way.
Jesus.
So,
Yeah.
Again.
Well, remember when he almost died from gangrene?
Yeah.
Because he was shooting into the same hole.
He was going through. He might have been with Attell. I don't know. And Lewis Black. They did a tour together. And again, that's one of the sadder stories. Yet the security at the airport smelled the gangrene.
Oh, boy.
That's how they found out. Yeah. And they found shit. And I think he beat the case. I think they found like paraphernalia or stuff. But you're talking about
what?
Maybe the best joke writer ever, and he just doesn't. He just like again, when you live in this life, like stand-ups, most of us dreamed of doing this our whole lives, and now you're doing it. Who's going to tell you to stop anything?
I think with him too, they were inseparable. The stand up and the heroin together.
Yeah, like Miles Davis said, like with playing the trumpet. Stuff like that. Again, you're talking about extreme personalities.
Yeah.
John Belushi.
Yeah.
And again, like you say, you have the same personality, but it just manifested itself in different ways.
I was lucky when I was a kid. I knew junkies, and I had my friend Jimmy's cousin was selling coke when I was in high school, and I watched him rot away. I watched him shrivel up, and I remember I was very paranoid.
Right.
And I didn't want to ruin my life. I was always worried about ruining my life.
Yeah.
So I'd see things like that. I'd be like, all right, stay the fuck away from drugs.
That's
Stay
an
away from
amazingly mature attitude at that point, because I was a direct opposite. I said that's going to be part of the success.
Yeah, for me,
Part
it
of
was
the success-
self-preservation.
Yeah. And look, that's a smart way to think. But I tell when I speak, I tell these kids, because they're like, how did you make it, man? Like, how did you make it in showbiz? Like, they Google me and they see me, on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
They go, how did you do that? Like, in rehab, they would, like, they're watching my movies on YouTube. These kids are magicians with the fucking thing. And my stand-up, and they go, how did you do this? Like, being a junkie. And I'm like, I don't know. I can't even remember.
Well, that's part of the problem, is that you're kind of rewarded for being so wild, and being wild, it's accentuated.
Yes.
By the drugs.
Yes.
And by the craziness and the
Absolutely.
gambling and all of it.
The way Ray Romano wrote new jokes about having kids and a family.
Yeah.
A lot of comics, you comment on your life.
Yes.
That's how you get new material. So my life was not a wife and kids. My life was this craziness with drugs and gambling, and that's where I mine that for material.
And it's also the audience loved it. They loved the fact that you're out there living that life. Like Bukowski or Hunter Thompson. Or anyone who's out there living that life, there's like...
It's romantic.
Yes.
It's romantic. You're not living like the average schlub.
No.
Like Ray Liotta says it in Goodfellas. Like, we were rock stars.
Yeah.
All these guys who had to wake up and go to a 9-to-5 job. We don't know that life,
Right.
And I saw the other side when I was at this halfway house with all these crazy motherfuckers. I had to get a job as part of the program, so I pumped gas and I worked on the back of a garbage truck for a while, throwing garbage. I pumped gas as a kid, and the money we make for being on stage. I'm going for from that money. I pumped gas 40 hours one week. I got a check for $280. So that's life, man.
Yeah, that's real life.
That's real life.
Yeah.
Okay, the story about this kid in the halfway house. I had 3 roommates. One was a carjacker. The other one was an arsonist. Okay, this other kid was a junkie. This kid was my bunkmate. He lived on the top bunk. I was on the bottom. He was like 22 years old. He had a form of Tourette's. Every 11 seconds, my hand to God, he made this sound. Hi. Every 11 seconds. Okay? He went, hi. All night. All right. To get to sleep, he watched porn on his phone. So he loved a specific kind of porn, and he would keep showing it to me. He's jerking off on the top bunk, and I got to go pump gas the next day. I'm like, my life is fucking over. And he loved watching these really fat black chicks get fucked by small white guys. That's what he liked. Okay, so this is what you hear all night. You hear this: "Fuck me with that honky dick." Hi. Fuck me, you little white pussy. Hi. And political correctness is even in like jails, like because in the old days people would just lit him on fire,
right,
and throw him in a dumpster,
right.
But now it's a disease,
right.
So he's got a disease. So, but the kid, I go, you're on the fucking internet. You can watch the hottest chicks on the planet. He would jerk off these chicks. I go, those chicks look like the '86 Celtics. That looks like Bill Walton. But then it's like this enormous, like Oprah-looking chick with a little, like Richard Simmons-looking guy, and he goes, "Hey, hey."
Did you ever ask him why he's into that?
No, sort of, but no explanation made any sense. Okay, this other kid I was in jail with, I was in protective custody. So if you're in protective custody at jail, it means you're a murderer, a snitch, or some sort of celebrity. So you're up there with hardcore motherfuckers. So this black kid who was next to me in the cell, great kid, I loved him. But when me and him were both out of the cell together for rec time, I noticed the guards were real protective of me. Like, no, they would make him go in the shower and lock the shower while I walked past him. he had some sort of ghetto Tourette's or something, like, because he'd ask you a question about your life, and then he would interrupt you by going, "Word up!" Like so I'm going to ask you a question. Just start to answer.
Okay.
What's your name?
Joe.
Word up! Where you from? Word up!
Born in Jersey.
Word up! Every 11 seconds he went, "Word up! Word up!" I love the guy.
Why
He was
would they
entertaining.
protect him?
Okay, because I'm locked in my cell 23 hours a day. One of the guards told me he got chopped up 3 times.
What?
Word up.
Like, cut up. Yeah.
Oof.
So you're rubbing elbows with these guys.
Jesus.
I think he chopped up 3 girls. The most affable. I like the kid. I still basketball with him. Like the Golden State was playing, and yeah, because you're in solitary confinement.
Was he able to have conversations?
He was mentally ill, obviously,
Yeah,
but he kept like I heard him on the phone. The other thing about jail, man, they have tablets now. They have the technology. So for 1 hour a day, I was out of my cell, and then you could play basketball or whatever. But you're in these cages. So they give these young kids who were in jail for a long time tablets. They could call anybody on the outside. So they call their girlfriends, which is always a bad thing. Like, it starts out nice, but you hear the build. Like, "How you doing, baby? Wait, who's that? Who's that in the background? Who the fuck is that?" And they start screaming at him, and they get violent. And I go, "Don't call your girlfriend." And when this kid would talk to anybody's life, he kept saying, "Word up," every 5 seconds.
So when you're trapped with these guys in your cell for 23
No,
hours a day?
I
or you're
had my own
solo.
cell. Protective custody is you have your own cell.
So, and what are you doing when you're in that cell?
Well,
for 23 hours a day?
I wrote. Again, that helps being creative.
I wrote a book.
I wrote.
Yeah.
And I read a lot. I had a great lawyer. My lawyer at the end sent me a lot of reading material. Again, this is where Stern fans are. You talk about how crazy they are. They're also the sweetest people on the planet. Stern fans all wrote me letters. "We're rooting for you. I hope you get better." They sent me books that they knew I liked. And, you kill time. 23 hours a day.
So
You're
you
basically in a
have
bathroom.
a pad and pen?
Yeah.
So you're writing things out?
Yeah.
Did you write stand-up? Did you write
I wrote a lot of
memoirs?
stand-up, and I wrote this book. I have a rough draft for a book, which is all stories like I was just telling you. I mean, this book, I've written 3 books, and they're all crazy stories, but this one, if I do it the right way, which it's hard to fuck up because it's just repeating these stories, it's going to be insane.
I'm sure, but I want you gotta release an audio version of it. Like, there's no way it's gonna do you justice in printed form where I have to interpret how you're saying these things.
The first book I had out, Too Fat to Fish, which debuted #1 on the New York Times bestseller. That's another thing with drugs. I read halfway through the audiobook and I couldn't do it anymore. I was always in withdrawals in the booth. So I quit. I just quit in the middle of it.
So who read it?
I hired 2 guys with speech impediments.
Oh, Jesus. On purpose?
Yeah. One guy couldn't read. He was reading the book. One of the guys had trouble reading.
Oh,
and he had to read a book.
Oh, my God. Is that available right now?
Yeah.
I'm going to buy that tonight.
You can get that.
I'm going to buy the audio version of it today.
Halfway through, I just stopped. Halfway through, I get to chapter 6, and then I just do a thing. I go, "Guys, I quit." And they put that in the audiobook. I go, "I'm not doing this anymore."
Oh, my God.
I'm sweating. I'm leaving. You hear me, like, leave the booth. And then the next thing you hear is, "Then I had a thing come happen with..." The studio time took like four extra months.
Oh, my God.
The publisher, Random House, called me and said, "We're going over time. If someone's going to read the book, they have to know how to read."
You know who David Goggins is? He's a Navy SEALs.
Yeah, I've heard that name.
He did a great thing with his book where he wrote a book, but in the audiobook, he had his business partner read it, and then he would talk about it afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Like almost like a podcast form.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah, because the thing about these stories, like the way I'm hearing you say them, this is how I want to hear it in the book.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear you read your book.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
absolutely.
Like it's almost like you'd be better off instead of writing a book if someone just transcribed what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of these stories I tell in stand up too.
Yeah, but if somebody could just get out of the way.
Yeah.
Like if you can get someone who can interview you who's not going to get in the way.
Yeah,
Like these conversations, like just talk and then you just go with it.
That's a good point. Well, technology's changing that game too.
Yeah.
That's putting out the idea of like a multimedia book.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
absolutely.
Well, this is what Goggins did. He put his book out. You could read the book.
Right.
But then the audio version is the book plus. So it's the book plus him explaining like these stories are actually fucking crazier than I'm even writing in the book. There's more to each one of them.
Well,
that
you
I
know,
left out.
what's interesting about that? The way I've written all 3 of my books with my buddy, my co-author Anthony Boza, who was writing for he's writing Eminem's book right now, and he wrote Slash's book right before me, Tommy Lee. And he was writing a book with me and Courtney Love at the same time. The kid almost jumped off a building. He would listen to Courtney Love ramble, and then he'd come to me. I'd be nodding off, and then I was in Vegas. The kid didn't know he was coming or going. He wanted to jump off the Chrysler building.
Christ.
So.
And he's got to require the two of you to make a living. Oh my God, he needs both of you.
Yeah. So,
oh my God.
It's funny when me and Nick DiPaolo had our own radio show for a little while.
Yeah,
right?
I remember.
And we got this big contract. And the first time we did stand-up at the Tower Theater in Philly, Nick goes, yeah, my life's great. My entire future depends on Artie Lang.
Well, that was the attitude that he had on the show, too. I watched the show because it used to be on television. Like,
right.
Who was the net? Was one of the networks that was on DirecTV?
Audience Network.
Yes.
DirecTV. Yeah.
So I was watching. I was like, these two are not getting along. Like, I know both of you, and I could. And Nick is such a grumpy old Italian now.
He's so funny, but yeah,
yes, very funny. Great joke writer.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
the two of you guys, though, it was a weird mix. Like. One guy is like this sort of grumpy guy who likes to complain about things. The other guy's getting high all the time. And gambling and everything that moves.
Sounds great.
It sounds great. Well, maybe you need a third person to like fucking mediate.
Yeah, like a law enforcement official.
Like somebody you both respect.
Yeah. So the way we wrote the books was I would tell the stories like I'm telling them to you into a recorder.
Right.
And then we transcribe them.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like, the premise was the way Mark Twain wrote, like people talk.
That's great, but the original recordings need to be preserved.
That's something.
Say it again and again and again.
Yeah, those
you lose
recordings exist.
Oh, see, that's
just telling the story.
That's what you need to release.
Yeah.
Like that. That's what everybody wants.
Right.
The polished, produced version of these things is never as good.
When I try to polish myself, it never works.
It doesn't work with anybody.
Yeah.
This what people love is like this conversation we're having right now is just you talking.
Right.
This is what people love. Like they know you have the story. You can't wait to tell it. Oh, wait, let me tell you this.
Yeah.
And then boom, it comes out and it's live.
It's like hanging out, shooting pool, telling a story.
Yes, it's alive. It's alive.
Right.
And when it hits their ears, it's alive. Yeah, there's something missing when people are trying to overproduce things. Say that again, Artie, but this time.
Oh no, that's the worst. Well, that's why the HBO show I did for a few years, Crashing. Apatow was really smart with that. He just sort of let me talk.
Yeah.
And it worked. That's a good point. The stories are like, it's not. This stuff's not even the tip of the iceberg. It's just like, it's chaos that I can't believe I put myself in. I mean, God did spare me. I should be dead a million times over, in a lot of different ways. A lot of different ways. Just how it was.
Well, you're in a very unique position now because you did get through all that. Because you did get through all that, and now you're in 9 months sobriety, and you've got these great stories, and you're funnier than ever. It's like it's a very weird position for you to be in because you could help a lot of people with this story.
I'd love to. Well, again, when you talk about the method thing with getting clean, the 12-step program, which a lot of people, obviously, if you're not in it, it's a legendary, iconic program, AANA.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't really know what the 12th step is. The premise is once you get to the 12th step, by you helping other people, it helps you. In other words, because that's what you're talking about. That's a productive way to use your time.
Yeah.
I'm going to go help this guy. Like someone in NA will say there's a guy dying and his family needs us. And you don't even know the guy. You go and you try to help him. So by the end of helping him for 5 hours, you maybe save him, but you're also saving you because you do. So the premise is, I'll give you. This was very poignant. One of the speakers at Turning Point, this guy in rehab, really explained it perfectly. At the beginning, Alcoholics Anonymous. It's also a great story, a great American story. These two, a stockbroker and a doctor, couldn't stop drinking. And they realized just by talking to each other, they could stop. They helped each other. So they devised these 12 steps. So they would go around the hospitals. This is in the mid-30s.
Really?
And they would say to the people at the hospital, is there anybody in the drunk ward, like a hopeless alcoholic? And they go, yeah. And they go, do they have any family here? And they'd say, like, his wife is here. She's, desperate. Can we talk to her? So they would go to the wife. The guy's in a hospital bed in alcoholic withdrawals, just a delirium. And they would say to her, listen, we found a cure for alcoholism. We think we found a cure for alcoholism. Can we talk to your husband? And she goes, you know what? That sounds like a total fantasy to me. You could try. We've tried everything. I don't know how you're going to cure him. And they said, no, you don't understand. He's going to cure us. Like, by talking to him, we're going to get better. Like, he's going to cure us. And hopefully, along the way, he gets it. Wow. So that's like a simple premise, but that's a stroke of genius in a way. It's like you're using your time for something insanely productive. And, like, you're a generous guy. You like helping people. You're a good friend. You get a little bit of a rush.
You get a lot
out of helping.
You get a lot out. I tell people I'm
There's
more
overlay in this
selfish,
tournament.
generous person.
Exactly. Well, they think, like, the 12 step, they say it's true altruism, where, true altruism is, not the way these big corporations give back, but you get nothing in return.
Right.
But in a way, that's bullshit because it helps you. You
does
get
help
something
you.
back.
When I help people, I get a rush.
Right.
It helps me.
If that feeling you get if you give somebody you love a gift.
Yes.
The gift you're trying to give them is, look, we're trying to get you better. And by the time you spend all this time working on them, you've stayed clean.
You know what also does it? Radiates. They'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
They realize that somebody helped them and that it helped you to help them. And then they'll do it to someone else and they'll feel it as well. And it also spreads the culture of being generous.
Again, you're right on the money. That's very insightful because that's what A is. It's a domino effect.
Yeah, the culture of being generous is very important. And the culture of being friendly.
You got to give
culture
back.
of being supportive. Yeah. The selfish people, they die alone. It's a fucking horrible way to live.
Absolutely. There's a lot of wealthy people I've met through this business who are just angry motherfuckers.
They're broken.
And
they don't have anyone to call on. There's no one loves them. No one hugs them when they see them. Nobody gets excited.
You need that.
Well, this business is a particular thing during the TV era, which I think is kind of gone. I think now we're in the internet era.
Yeah.
The internet era is but the internet era is a much more generous era because it actually helps everybody to have all these shows, and no one's competing against each other in a sense because it used to be like there was one host of the Tonight Show, and everybody stabbed everybody to get that fucking job.
Yeah.
And that was those Late Night War, the movie with Letterman.
The stories about
Jay
Carson, how
Leno.
rufless he was with Joan Rivers if he tried to go up.
Yes. I mean, that's how everybody was.
Why be that way?
I think back then it was a famine mentality because there was a few slots and there was hundreds of comics and everybody was just fucking fighting in the trenches with knives.
That was look again. See, you though as a good person with character, that's your attitude, which is great. You live that lifestyle. Like, in other words, what you're saying is important. Like, this is the biggest podcast going. If you were hosting the Tonight Show, and look, I've been on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon a million times. I kill every time. But to have me on the mainstream, and I love Jimmy, but to have me on a mainstream show talking like this, there's consequences to that, corporate-wise.
Yes, they can't do it.
They would fight you to have me on.
Yes.
So you're in a situation where me and you are two guys who've known each other a long time, who respect each other's work and as people. And I'm a guy, I mean, let's face it, I'm trying to get back on my feet. And you come to New York and you let me do this. That's huge. That's something you couldn't do in the
New York a day early. That's why I'm here. I was supposed to land today at 4 p.m.
It's downright touching.
Listen, I love you, man. I'm happy that you're doing great right now. And if I can help put some wind in your sails and keep you moving in this great direction, I'm happy.
A lot of people tell me, like, you got a lot of fans in rehab. Everybody goes, I heard you on Rogan. Rogan was talking about you, and it's always positive. And that helps me get out of bed some days. It does. And I'm saying your point is well taken. If you were hosting a Tonight Show, you have all these people badly. You can't have Artie on right now. It's crazy right now. Even though you need to, but you in this position, you can.
You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. And
oh my God, I'm sitting here tired as fuck.
Because
and Sneaky Deuces raids with a party at 2. What's good, dude?
We're all friends. Yeah. The podcast community is one of the most open, supportive communities. And comics now, every comic has a fucking podcast.
Winding it down here, folks. What's going on? Last tournament of the night right here.
Hey, Dan Soder's got a new HBO special. Everybody go watch it. hey, Ari Shafir's got this thing coming out.
Yeah,
Everybody go
appreciate
check
it,
it out.
Sneaky Deuces.
Everybody's
Thank you so
helpful
much.
and everybody's
And
supportive.
it also helps that everybody you just
Yes.
mentioned are good guys.
Yes. But it's this
I-
community. It's
yeah.
a different feeling that ever existed during those Tonight Show wars.
No, not even close.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Those guys hated each other.
They did.
Even Stern. When Stern, with anybody in any other market.
I saw the Howard situation for 8 years, that world. And Howard even says, Howard was this insane ball of talent and ambition. And if you got in the way of that train, man.
if you were his competitor,
he
he
ran
would go
over.
after you, your family, everything. Everything.
It's I saw that firsthand. And you're talking about it's scary, but you're right. That's a
different
major
world.
positive about this situation.
But I think even the way Howard did it, I don't think you could do it that way today.
No way.
Nobody would accept it.
No way.
No,
No way.
it's a different world.
There's a lot of people who would check him on it.
Yeah.
Before it got crazy. But you talk about every comic. Everyone has a podcast. I used to go to when I went to jail a couple of times. I get my own cell, and they go, "Why does he have his own cell?" Well, because he's on a big radio show. And then, why do you want your own cell now? Because I have a podcast. The guard says, "Well, so do I. I have a podcast."
They do. Everyone has one.
I mean, again, everybody shoots video. It's a very. I mean, look. It also inspires a lot of talentless boors to do this shit. So,
Yes.
You gotta have something. You gotta have some sort of, But
it's open ended.
If you have something to offer and someone is a good person and you want to help them, you can do it with this platform.
Yeah, and the entry, it's not expensive. Like you need an iPhone and just some sort of a Libsyn account or something.
Well, I'm starting
like that.
another one.
Yeah, I know.
So it's
Beautiful.
It's called Artie Lang's Halfway House.
I love it. It's great.
And the premise is these stories with Mike Boschetti, and a lot of the guys I met in these crazy times with these crazy stories. They're the most unique stories on the planet.
Well, you were doing a podcast from your apartment for a while, right?
Yeah, for 2 years. But I was, I was on drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. I did a podcast in my living room. I was late 18 times. Puerto Rican comedians were beating me in my kitchen.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
I was late 18 times.
That's hilarious.
I went. People were waiting outside, and I caught traffic by the bathroom. I would say. So that's how out of control it was.
My friend Jay is one of the producers of The Doctors, and they were going to fix your nose.
Yeah.
But they were worried that if they did it, they'd have to give you painkillers.
Right. Well, that's a big thing too. Like with the drug court thing, if you get any type of surgery, they got to do paperwork. Also, the guy from Botched wants to do it too.
Yeah.
I'm actually in a bidding war to fix my nose.
What happened to it?
A bunch of
A
things.
bidding war to fix his nose from drug use, and now people are going
First
to
of
pay
all,
him
a
to
bookie
fix
I
his
was dealing
nose.
with a few years ago had a guy who used to work for him who got this idea to try to get money out of me, and he sucker punched me out. This kid was a 19-year-old boxer, and I was going to my car one day, and he thought I was like, he saw me on TV, he thought I was like a billionaire, and I'm going to my car, and I hear Artie, and the kid hits me with a right hand, right. Like you could never get off in a regular fight, like the way
Square.
Tyson hit Trevor Burbick,
Ooh, right.
and right here,
Fuck.
right here, right on my and collapse the bone right here, knocked me out for 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes, and that situation got solved the way it got solved, but
What does that mean?
Well, I just had to deal with it in my own way. I made up with the guy through, intermediaries on the street. and everybody's fine, and we moved on. But the kid laid me out. The kid, it's a 19-year-old. You got just boom.
Hold.
And, so
Hold.
that's one thing.
Hold.
30 years of drug use.
Ugh.
But this is one of the crazier stories.
God.
So there was this stripper I used to go on the road with, and she would meet me in cities. She was
That's the end of it. We're going to call it there. Over 10K. Who do we ship it off to tonight?